Hello, we're here live with Composting Talk. We're starting a few minutes late, but we're ready to go. Let's start with some introductions.
Hi, I'm Danny O'Sullivan. I am a councilman here and I represent Ward 1. I am also council liaison to the Recycling Advisory Committee. And I've been that for 2.5 years. And I'm here with Michael Caputo.
Hi, I'm Mike Caputo, Superintendent of Public Works.
All right, great. So we're going to look forward to getting some questions during our live broadcast, but we have a few that we've been receiving from citizens that we can start with. So perhaps Danny, you'll start by answering, why did Summit decide to begin a composting program at the Municipal transfer station?
You know, that's a great question. We have been talking about food recycling for many years in Summit. This goes back to when Paul Casquet was the director before Aaron Schrager. And this was a long conversation when with Karen Ryhopper, who was chair of Recycling Advisory, Marjorie Fox at that point was council liaison. And this has always been a goal. It's a meaningful way to divert waste from our garbage. And it's just one of those things that will enhance our ability to reduce our tipping fees.
Okay.
And so here we are, and it's a trial program, and we chose Green Bucket. We had many different conversations in the last 1.5 years, serious conversations with about 6 vendors. And Green Bucket just offered the most efficient and simplest way for us to get going.
Okay, great. So Michael, perhaps you'd like to explain, how does this work?
So it's pretty simple. You collect your food waste at home. You could use 5-gallon pails, you could use plastic bags, and you would keep it. And as long as the transfer station's open, you could bring it down and just put it into the 4 containers that we're gonna have down there.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
This is the bucket that I have. Okay?
So we can't quite see it.
You can buy this bucket. You may even have a bucket. I have a lid on it as well.
Can you show us what the lid looks like?
It's a 5-gallon bucket. It has a twist top. Okay? So, and I don't even do this. And I think this is going to be really simple. Okay? I'm really enthusiastic about composting because I know in my own house and a lot of other homes, it's most of my garbage. And so when I prep a meal, when I'm done with my coffee grounds, instead of going in my regular trash, they're gonna go in this bucket. And then I'm gonna be able to seal the top, and then when it's full, or I can just push it down and get more food waste in there, whether I'm doing meal prep or something like that. And then I'm just gonna take it to the transfer station where there's gonna be, at the beginning, there's gonna be 4 bins for us to dump our food waste into.
Okay, so are you going to put a liner in that can, or are you just going to put your food directly in the can?
For me, I'll probably start, I haven't done it yet, so I'm probably just gonna start by putting my food in there. And then we'll see how messy it gets, and then I'll just be able to clean it out on my own.
So Green Bucket will take the plastic liner if you want to dump it that way, but you could also just put it in there and then wash out your container.
Right.
And when we say plastic liner, do we mean just a regular household kitchen garbage bag?
Any kind of plastic bags they will accept.
Okay.
So that's a little catch-22, right? Because the plastic bag ban that is now in place, it's very difficult to get those plastic bags. So a lot of times, like, you might have an old grocery bag that was a plastic bag and you might use that as a liner. You're not gonna be able to. I think it's gonna be easy enough to put my food waste in here, put the lid on tight, maybe leave it outside. I don't know at this point, and then I will just bring it to the transfer station when it's done. Because I go to the transfer station, like a lot of people do, with their yard waste, or their Legos, or just their household trash, or their recycling. So
Or
it's just one more
Summit
stop.
Free Market.
Or the Summit Free Market. So it's just one more thing. It's just one more asset that we're offering at the transfer station.
Great. And we should probably all agree that we need to have buckets that are raccoon proof.
Yeah, I would definitely get a lid and it'll
That screws on, like.
Yeah, there's different kinds of lids that press down tight,
and you'll have no smell either.
And you won't have to deal with the smell.
Okay, so I compost in my backyard. How is this different?
So it's basically the same thing, it's just your preference. If you have the means to get rid of your compost, you put it in your garden, whatever you want to use it for. If you don't, you can always bring it to the transfer station to get rid of, and you're still keeping it out of the waste stream.
Okay.
I think if you are currently composting in your yard, I would still compost in your yard. There's no reason to change. What's happening with this material, because you're not going to get a product in return, what's going to happen with this material, Green Bucket's going to collect it on Mondays, and they're going to bring it to a waste management core facility in Elizabeth, and it's going to be turned into a slurry. And then from there, it's going to be transferred down the road in Elizabeth to the wastewater treatment plant, and there it's going to be turned into a renewable energy source. So if you're currently composting in your backyard, I say keep going.
Okay. In my backyard, I don't put certain kinds of foods in because I don't want to attract any sort of rodents. Can we go through what's accepted here that might be different from what I'm currently doing in my backyard?
Yes, and regardless, at the transfer station, they're gonna be containers with lids, watertight, and they're gonna be locked at night. So I don't think we'll have a problem with animals or smells or anything like that. So the accepted items are fruits and vegetables, cooked, baked, and other prepared foods, cereal, flour, grains, pasta, rice, dairy products, not liquid dairy products though. Meat, fish, bones, seafood shells, nuts, seeds, pits, and shells, coffee grounds, filters, tea bags, and pet food.
Wow. So if I, as you mentioned with the coffee grounds,
Yep.
if I'm dumping my waste, I can include the filter in that
You can
too.
include the filter. As far as meats go, I think if, like you said, you're composting at home, you would never put meat in your pile.
Never.
Right? It's a little bit more relaxed for what Green Bucket is doing, because again, Green Bucket is not giving you a composted soil additive back. So there's a little bit more leeway as far as the product that they'll take. And that was one of the reasons why we chose them, because it was just going to be easier. It was going to be an easier learning curve for the masses that we're trying to attract to this.
Okay. How often should you transport your food scraps to the transfer station?
As often as you'd like.
Okay.
Well, I think it just goes along with how often is your garbage collected in Summit? It's once a week. I think once a week would probably do it. I don't know at this point what I'm going to do, but I imagine I'm going to be going at least once a week with a bucket full of food waste. And I think this 5-gallon bucket that I've got here, I think it's going to end up weighing 30 plus pounds, because food waste is very heavy. It's got a lot of water content in it, and that's the beauty of getting it out of our waste stream. It's going to reduce our tipping fees upwards of, I don't know what it's going to reduce our tipping fees, but your personal garbage at home, I would say 30 to 40% of it is food waste. So if we can divert that out, it's gonna your garbage is gonna smell better at home, because you're not gonna have rotting food sitting around all week.
So when you mention tipping fees, what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong here, what you're saying is that we pay for our garbage by weight.
Yeah, so what happens is the trucks collect in-house, they tipping means dumping, at the transfer station. When we bring our tractor trailers to the incinerator, we get charged a tipping fee per ton. It's just under $82 per ton. So if there's roughly 25 to 30% of food waste in the solid waste stream, you're taking that out, and there's a cost saving there, depending on how far this program goes. The farther it goes, the more cost savings we're going to get.
Okay.
Right, and that's I'm glad you brought up the incinerator, because this diverts a lot of waste from the incinerator. And just imagine all of this garbage just being burned up, and what that creates is an ash and not great for the environment. This is a better choice. So we're hopeful. We've opened it up to the whole town if you have access to the transfer station. The way other towns have done it, they've done pilot programs where they limited it to 100 families. And I don't think that they're going to see the impact that we're hoping to see. And so that's why this is open for everybody in Summit that has access to the transfer station. I encourage you to try it. and you'll see the results at home in your own garbage that's going out to the curb.
So is this a 1-year pilot program?
It's 6 months from June 1st to December 31st. We'll reevaluate after that and see if we're gonna keep it.
Okay, so and success is measured by the amount of waste that we're collecting in the compost bins. Do we have a goal?
The amount of residents that want to use it, plus the amount
Yeah.
that we see after 6 months that we're saving.
And I think at some point, before the 6 months is up, Aaron Schrager will be able to generate a report and see what is actually happening, and see what kind of feedback we get from Green Bucket, and hopefully, we're good partners with each other, and see how we're affecting their business as well.
Okay, all right, great. There's a question here about items that are not accepted. Can we go over some of those?
Sure.
You said something about liquid dairy. That means
So the way it's
carton of
worded
milk.
here, I could always confirm from Green Bucket, but it says milk and liquid dairy products. So I'm assuming like yogurts, right? I guess cheeses would be okay because
Cheese is harder cheese. I would think milk, if I have spoiled milk, it just goes down my drain anyway. So
Yep.
I'm not dumping liquid milk into my garbage. So, yeah, I would think about that.
we could clarify that.
Okay.
Big thing they don't want is fat, grease, and oil. Diapers, hygienic products, animal waste, black plastic bags or liners, wrappers and packaging, loose recyclable plastics and rubber, foam, metal, glass, rigid plastic, clean recyclable paper and cardboard, and obviously leaves, grass, plants, flowers, potting soils, branches. We have areas at the transfer station for that already designated.
Okay, so there's a question about the plastic liners. So it says no black garbage bags, but what about the white garbage bags you use in your household trash can? Are they okay?
I would have to get back to you on that. I would say they're probably talking more about the disposable ones, the thinner.
Yes.
Clear
I
plastic
think
bags.
they're,
Okay.
I don't know, we don't know that answer specifically, because there are different grades of plastic, right? So obviously the black ones are thicker and heavier, those are a no. The white ones that, people just use on a weekly basis, we'll have to nail that one down.
Okay. And there's some of those that are compostable. I've seen them in the grocery store, so maybe that would be a good choice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so how's it going to be transported from the transfer station to Green Bucket?
So Green Bucket will come every Monday. They'll take the liner out, they'll put it in their truck, they'll clean out the containers if they need to be cleaned, and then they transport it to waste management.
Okay. All right. So that's all the questions I have, and there's no one else asking any questions on the broadcast. Is there anything either of you would like to talk about and share?
I would just say one other thing as far as different ways to store your food waste. Some people, I have a bucket with a tight lid. I'm gonna probably keep it outside, just bring it back and forth as I need it. Some people, you can freeze it. Some people will do that and just at the end of the week, they'll take it to the transfer station. I think this is just one of those things where we have people in Summit that are composting at home. I would stay with that. Other people like me, this is a new thing for me. I'm gonna learn a lot as I go, and I think I'm just gonna get better and better at it. And I think that's just gonna be the way it's gonna work in Summit. And I think word of mouth, I'll be talking about it a great deal, because I truly believe this is a meaningful way to divert more waste out of the waste stream. Much as we do with the free market and our regular weekly recycling, but food waste, and I heard this from Paul Cascade for years, food waste is 40% of your garbage. That's the number he would use with us. And it's an alarming number, and it's just diverting more things away from the incinerator, because everybody should know in Summit, there's no magic landfill where our garbage goes and it becomes something else. It gets burned down to nothing, to ash, and it's not great for the environment. So this is just one other way to divert.
Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Great.
One is, what about a bamboo toothbrush? Is that something you could put in? And does it need to be BPI compostable? Do food items need to be BPI compostable?
BPI, I don't know what BPI
That's
means.
something that would have to have.
There's certain things though, even those, even compostable plates, I've read this before where, you might have a compostable product like a knife or a fork or something like that. Those are not for this kind of composting. We're looking for organics,
Okay.
right, for the most part.
All right, great. And what about lawn and leaf clippings, like grass and,
So we're gonna keep our designated areas for that,
so that needs to be separate?
yes. And that we turn into compost, dirt, and give out to the residents.
Okay. And this is, this food waste is never going to be given to the residents. It won't be used by the municipality. Green Bucket will use it.
Correct.
Correct. Now, there's a lot of people that do this. People can do it at home and create their own product. There are other vendors, private vendors, that do door-to-door service, and then they return a compost product to you as well. So there are a lot of options. This is just an option that the city chose because it's going to be efficient for us and it's going to be an easy thing for residents to latch onto.
Okay. All right, great. Michael, do you have anything to add?
There'll be no really cost affected by the residents because we will be using recycling grant money. Further down the line, we'll have to reevaluate obviously that too. The more containers we have, if it's a hit, the less the money is that, per container that we have to pay.
Okay, so if more people do it,
The cost goes down for a container.
okay, that's great. And when does this start? Let's talk about when we're rolling this out.
June 1st.
June 1st, and we're going to have some volunteers at the transfer station trying to help people. Just, if people are coming over with their grass clippings by mistake, just say, no, there's already a designated area for grass clippings. Or they just have, you hear bottles clanking or something in their garbage or something. No, there's a place for that as well. So, the thing about the transfer station is the signage is really, well laid out. It's pretty clear. And this will be no different. This is just one more thing. Like, we added the Lego bin. If people go to the transfer station, you see a bright, big sign that says a Lego bin. That's been a huge hit. That thing is, always full. So I think this is going to be a really good thing for Summit, and I think it's going to be, it's already in a number of other communities. Green Bucket works with 18 other communities already. So if Jersey City, which is a really densely populated area, if Jersey City can have a composting program, Summit can too.
That's great. All right, and for the people that are watching, can we share some news about a big recycling change that's coming up?
So the new contract will start July 1st, and we have Grand Sanitation now. We're the lowest bidder. So after 7 years of Basso, they're out for at least the next 2 years. Also, we're going to be going to single stream. It's basically easier for everybody, and recycling will be under garbage day. So I think it'll be easier for the residents. They know the garbage goes out, the recycling goes out. Plus, only that area of town is impacted. So if there's a storm or bad weather, you're not going to have stuff blowing around all over town.
Great. So if my trash collection day is Friday, so that will also be my recycling day, correct?
Right.
And
Except if there's a holiday, we'll have to adjust, obviously, or a storm or something. But we're going to meet tomorrow actually with the new vendor and get all that situated.
so more information will be coming, and information will be posted on the city website as well.
Yes.
And what's great about this, from a resident perspective, right, is you can put everything in one container rather than separating.
Yep.
Right.
And also, I think it's a different vendor. They come highly recommended. They work with other municipalities in the region. We don't know how things are going to work. I know just walking around on recycling days, people put their recycles out in plastic bags. That's a big no-no. Now, Basso would always take those. I'm not sure how it's going to work. These guys, they have a right to refuse anything that's left in a plastic bag, because those plastic bags are really bad for their sorting facility, and they gum up the gears and they can lose a whole day of sorting. So we really have to be diligent about putting our recycling in containers that they can dump and then just leave. They don't want your plastic bags.
And we recommend containers with a lid so that
Definitely.
if it's inclement weather.
You don't want the cardboard to get wet because it's basically useless after that point.
If your cardboard gets wet, it ends up going to the incinerator. That's basically it. Everything gets wasted, and you know, recycling it's really a challenge. So if we want to think about having a big impact, it's just trying to make better choices at the grocery store. Single-use plastic bottles, for instance, right? When those get recycled, it's 1 out of 10 times those get recycled. So 10%, less than 10% of the time, plastic gets recycled. So when you put a Poland Spring bottle into the recycling, it doesn't get made into another Poland Spring bottle. It just doesn't. Most times it gets incinerated. So we need to think about more eliminating those single-use items from our shopping list. And some things are really difficult, right? If you want yogurt, well, there's only so many kind of containers that are being offered at the grocery store, so you're kind of hamstrung by that. But as far as things you can have a difference on, water bottles, those are ubiquitous, they're everywhere, they're messy, and they do not magically turn into a hairbrush. They don't, they get incinerated. So, different choices that we can make.
All right, well, it sounds like Summit's doing some really great things with recycling and composting, and it was wonderful to hear about them today. So thank you both.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
That's it.
All right. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.